Welcome to Punks for Progress Weekly What the Fuck Report. It's Punker Mike, coming to you from Rancho Relaxo on the North Shore. I'm being joined, as always, by my co-host, Reverend Aaron. What's happening, dude?
Hey, bro, what's happening?
Well, actually, there's a whole lot going on. We got a lot to talk about today and a really good show planned for.
We have a whole jam-packed, full of stuff show today. That started out with rudimentary peni, which is always good.
Yeah, anything that starts out with rudimentary peni is good.
Well, I mean, it's pretty much true. 3/4 of the world are starving and the rest are dead. I mean, it's metaphorical, but I'm with it still. Hey, let's give big, giant fucking shouts to Punk Rock and Politics, dude.
Oh, hey, Mike. Yeah, dude. Thanks so much for posting our video.
So our Mike from Punk Rock and Politics, please subscribe to Punk Rock and Politics on YouTube and follow them on Facebook.
Yes, and look forward to my interview on that show.
Yep. And they were badass enough to repost on YouTube a video of ours that is currently blocked on our channel on YouTube for supposed inappropriate content, which has basically just been attacked and complained on by a whole bunch of alt-right people that were pissed off about our video on the Proud Boys.
Yeah, that's basically what happened, because it's obviously on his page with no problems. So obviously it's not hate speech, and anybody who's had a chance to check out that video will see that there's nothing hateful about that except for the horrible things that these people wanted to do to this bookstore. So yeah, go check that video out if you haven't had a chance on on his YouTube channel, and it's also on our Facebook page. Yeah.
Right. Yes, and it's on our Facebook page, and it's also we've contested, that it has hate speech or it's inappropriate or whatever, and we are 100% certain it will ultimately be restored and be back up on our channel, especially exemplified by the fact that it's on another YouTube channel right now.
Right.
No
hypocrisy. Right-wing hypocrisy.
So anyway, thanks a lot, Mike from Punk Rock and Politics.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Facebook. On today's show, we are going to be talking about the YouTube shooter. We are going to be talking about a couple specific instances, recent instances of real, just blatant, out of fucking control police mayhem, dude.
Dude, right? Holy crap.
I mean, everybody knows police are killing people every day on the street, but it's just like we're ramping up new levels of disgustingness from the cops, and we're going to cover a couple new instances like of a hit and run by cops and a whole team of like 15 cops just unloading on a homeless dude in a homeless shelter, unarmed. Anyway, we're going to cover that. We are going to be talking about the 2018 midterms. We're going to be discussing the sort of blue wave versus Trump hat dynamic and dichotomy, and this will probably be fun and get a little heated. But we're going to be talking about that, and we're also going to be talking about the significance of the interstate cross-check and Kobach's influence on the census. And
our good buddy Chris Kobach.
Right, and his influence on the census in relation to the citizenship question, how that relates to the midterm election. So anyway, and then we also got a really badass, in-depth fucking report from SoCal Shannon. We're going deep behind the orange curtain, and she's going to give us a really great history on what's going on in Orange County, everything from its the history, the birth of Orange County to just long history of racism, what's going on now with Orange County just getting behind Trump and all these super rich bourgeois fucking white people who are trying to push legislation to overturn sanctuary status, and the massive problem with homelessness that's resulted from this fascist onslaught of rich bourgeois fuckers in Orange County. Anyway, we're getting
we're gonna put on our 30-hole docs and wade deep into this shit.
Yeah. We took 20 holes and stitched 10 new holes on them to get deep behind the orange curtain. So we got that. And then we also have, we're going to close out the show tonight with a really, really fabulous interview with our, with an amazing comrade, J.M. Carrico, and who is an anarcho-syndicalist, anti-fascist, who is running for Senate, for U.S. Senate from the great state of Tennessee. And so we have that interview at the end of the show. And but first, we have the fucking news from from Stimulator. So let's get into that, and then we'll come back. And then we'll come back and talk about this whole fiasco with the YouTube shooter and how it's kind of relevant to actual YouTube content creators and stuff. So we're really going to talk about that a lot. But let's get into. What's up, Stim?
I'm super mad at you. How could you go to a riot without me? You were supposed to be my riot buddy.
Shit.
Fuck it! Do it live!
Rise and shine, motherfuckers. I am your host, the Stimulator, and this is the fucking news. This year marks the 50th fucking anniversary of the riots of '68, when millions of Parisian students and workers cut class, walked off the job, drank wine, built barricades, ate croissants, fought the pigs, and tried their best to overthrow the French motherfucking government.
They were anarchists, most of them. That was the spirit. And that although they were the furthest out in any way politically, that was also the one place where workers joined with students and almost toppled the government.
Your revolution is over, Mr. Lebowski. Condolences. The bomb's lost.
And in the decades that have followed, riots and labor unrest have become as French as a mind-playing Frere fucking Jacques on an accordion.
That's so problematic.
So it's no fucking surprise that peeps in France have decided to honor the anniversary in the only way you'd expect. Not what I had in mind. That's right, the French fucking poulet are once again on the back foot as swarms of black-clad cop-bashing cortège de tête, beating them back, hawking bottles, and doing les smashy smash. This time around, la merde's hitting the fan after Emmanuel Macron, the radical neoliberal centrist piece of shit, elected to power last year on a strict platform of not being Marine Le Pen, announced plans to push through sweeping changes to France's state-run rail system, the SNCF. These reforms include cutting the strong employment protection rights of rail workers and taking the initial steps to privatize the SNCF by publicly listing it on the stock market, part of a broader attack on public sector workers being carried out in the name of EU integration.
We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
But the country's famously militant workers aren't gonna take that shit lying down, and they've been joined by students pissed off at plant university reforms, not to mention all the sketchy French youths who jumped at the opportunity to break from their daily ennui to throw down against the pigs. Because, after all,
rien ni personne ne pourra étouffer une révolte. Tu as semé la graine de la haine, donc tu la récoltes. Les rebelles et les rebus ont tous opté pour le boycott. Faisons en sorte que les aisés nous lèchent les bottes. Traînons plus bas que terre. Ceux qui nous l'ont déjà fait.
Yep, once again peeps in France did not fucking disappoint. Shit started really popping off on March 22nd, 50 years to the day that radical students first occupied the Université Paris-Nanterre, kicking off a historic wave of resistance that followed. In an impressive display of decentralized coordination, 180 demonstrations took place across France, including wildcat strikes that seriously jammed up France's transportation grid, and massive protests featuring militant black blocs that were reminiscing of the 2016 movement against the so-called Loi de Travail. But in a stark reminder of how the political winds have shifted over the past 2 years, later that evening a student occupation of an auditorium in Montpellier University was visually attacked by a mob of mass fascists, including members of the right-wing student group GUD and several teachers who were recognized and outed by their students. These goons rampaged through the halls wielding wooden pallets and tasers, seriously injuring 4 people, including 2 students who had to be hospitalized with skull fractures. Several witnesses accused the dean of the university's law faculty, Philippe Petel, of orchestrating the attack after he allegedly let the thugs in through a back door and cheered as they literally cracked his other students' skulls.
I am very proud of my students. I fully support them. What was done had to be done. We cannot make omelets without breaking some eggs.
Tuesday, April 3rd saw the start of 3 months of planned rolling strikes by SNCF workers. And with the large national union, the CGT, calling for a general strike on April 19th, shit looks like it's just starting. Something tells me that this year, May Day in Paris is gonna be one for the cookbooks. Last but not least, 59 badass motherfuckers who were arrested for defiantly invading the streets of DC during the inauguration of the Orange One are about to have their day in court and face potential sentences of 61 fucking years in the clink. Their supporters have called for a day of solidarity on April 10th. So you know the deal. Drop banners, write graffiti, hold events, and flood social media channels to help bring visibility to our comrades. For details, visit defendj20resistance.org. And that's all the fucking news for this week. As always, if you want to support my ass, shoot me some ducats at sub.media/donate. And be sure to check me out on all your favorite corporate brainwashing and mass surveillance platforms. Just search Stimulator. Hasta la pasta, compañeras.
Let's smashy smash.
Smash.
That's good stuff, man.
Oh, I love Stimulator. They bring such important information, man. Yeah. Yeah. So yes, May 1st is coming up. May Day March is coming up. Every single town across the world, the Western world at least, is organizing and put it on your radar. There will be a May Day March in your town, and if there isn't one, maybe go out and organize one. But
oh yeah, huh? That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, and dude, what is up with that shit and that in France in the university? You know, with the dean letting those kids. That video, if you watch, actually, that whole video is.
That was vile.
They're just brutally beating. It's not a political thing at all. It's not like a rally like we see, like, you know, on our campuses in the States where, you know, there's a speaker and then people come out and protest and then there's violence. These people just came into this like talk in a freaking hall in a university and just started brutally beating people with sticks and shit. And the dean of this fucking university let these fascists in. Fascism is like seriously a very real and existential threat in 2018 Earth.
I can't believe we have to say that. I can't believe we actually have to fucking say that right now. But you're absolutely right. You're preaching to the choir, Reverend Aaron.
And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic either, man. You know, I'm not trying to.
It's the truth.
You know, or embellish.
I'm serious. Really, 2 of those kids got skull fractures.
And the dean of a university allowed them in and escorted them out. And apparently, some of these attackers were actual faculty and teachers. Shit's real, man. But on a weirder but not any less horrible or horrifying note, there was a shooting at YouTube.
Yeah, San Bruno, California, right?
San Bruno, man.
Yeah.
So apparently this is a YouTuber, a female YouTuber, with Iranian descent, who did like exercise videos and whatever. And
she's a YouTuber. She was like taking video of herself and putting it on freaking YouTube and trying to get as many people to subscribe to her as possible, so she could make money by, you know, videoing herself, basically, like a lot of people tend to do nowadays. Yeah.
Doing her thing. And there's the ad apocalypse that everyone's heard about and all the demonetizing issues. And like,
haven't we had issues like that? Yeah.
We'll get into that a little bit later, but there's stuff and that she felt that as a result of not only the adpocalypse and the demonetizing and the restructuring of the YouTube algorithms in relation to monetization, that she was somehow being censored, and she took a gun and went down to the YouTube campus in San Bruno and shot 3 people and then killed herself. And what I want to really, we're going to talk about like kind of not only like a little more specifically about kind of what we feel, I guess, was her motive and what led to it, but kind of how this is relevant to other YouTube content creators, and as a YouTube content creator, kind of our thoughts on what she went through and this horrible, totally off the fucking wall reaction she had to what a lot of YouTube content creators are experiencing. And but first, I want to show you what the insane right-wing response has been from people like Stefan Molyneux and Fox News and Alex Jones. And anyway, so we put this video together and backed it up with little Beastie Boys to make it sort of palatable, because it's really disgusting, the things you're going to hear. But why don't you play that real quick, Mike, and then we'll come back and dissect this YouTube shooting.
Yeah, okay.
It's hard to avoid the fact that this woman was somewhat pretty and had a smoking body. There are some indications she was fascinated by plastic surgery. I gotta say fake boobs, but I'm no expert. So she doesn't have the fame, she doesn't have the future, everyone else around her was right, she was wrong, and she's too old, probably, to get married and have kids.
So what we conclude from what happened yesterday? Well, first off, the shooter was a woman. She was female. So clearly, America has a problem with toxic femininity, and we need to address that crisis right away.
YouTube is demonetizing, as I said, everybody but establishment stuff. The left at first was like, yay, the last few years, censor conservatives, screw them over. And then now almost everyone's being censored, but a few handful, maybe 100 leftist talk shows who then get force-fed to everybody and pushed out because they're anti-American, and then they still are monetized, but they'll be removed as well. So this is the process of how censorship works. The globalists don't want anybody having free speech. But you take artists and you take their material and then you use them to build your organization up, YouTube, meaning the people, and then you censor it, and I've seen the videos. This is not censorable stuff. But they don't want, let's put some of this on screen. This is what they censor. Is her doing yoga exercises and basic stretching exercises, and NasimABC.com. Nasim, SABZ.com. You can go there. We've gone and looked. I mean, there's just nothing there to censor, and it's terrible that she shot 3 people.
She 39, so she was 17 when she came to America. Okay, she has a little bit of dead doll, fish glassy-eyed stare. She's got a tiny mouth that's pursed in, I guess, the withholding of her inner demons. Let us out. But she's attractive. And she was really hitting the wall hard. That is not unimportant, particularly, of course, in her culture. If you're single past a certain age, that is embarrassing. It is humiliating. And a woman who is born with that kind of beauty, and again, it's hard for me to sort of judge by Iranian or Persian standards, but she was attractive, and again, the body was something that most women would definitely envy, and the workout videos are appallingly not unappealing. Let's just put it that way. So What did she want from her beauty, from her fame? Again, to quote myself, this is a novel I wrote called Almost, about the tortures of being almost good. And in it, there was a beautiful woman who said she realized she was beautiful, and she wanted to put her beauty to work for her like a glistening slave.
Okay, well, that was vile and disgusting. That guy's a pig, dude.
Yeah, he really is, man. And you know, and he, Stefan Molyneux, and he.
It gave me, dude. It seriously gave me chicken skin listening to him talk about her and her body and her beauty and her obsession with plastic surgery. It gave me the creeps, man.
Like, how is that even fucking remotely relevant to anything? And if you watch the full video, his full screed on this crap, he tries to justify it with, you know, I'm just trying. It's not like I'm obsessed with her beauty. He's trying to say that she had an obsession with beauty. And so because she had beauty, that's why she has a YouTube channel. When it's actually, no, dude, you just like apparently liked looking at her and liked the look of her body. Even the way that
he had the obsession, man. He's the one with the obsession about her body. Okay, so she wasn't unattractive, and that may have helped with her YouTube presence. Okay, but I mean, all right, so I'm not unattractive. I'm an attractive person, so let me give it a shot because people are doing that nowadays, and they're making money on it.
And she's doing exercise videos and stuff, so obviously her body should be toned and you know, healthy and right. And so that's not what it's about. And it's not about this person thinking, look at me, I'm so... There's plenty of YouTubers where their whole thing is, look at me, I'm really hot, and I have a YouTube channel. And they get lots
no kidding.
This wasn't what this person... This is not what Nassim was about. You know, this is a person who probably didn't fully really understand how YouTube culture worked. You know, and not that we're geniuses. You know, we did a show a year ago, talking about how to watch videos on YouTube because we thought we were brilliant, right?
I think that was a topic of one of our shows a while ago because we didn't know what the hell we're doing.
Please don't ever listen to that because it just sounds like, you know, 90-year-old grandmas trying to work the VCR. But anyway, so we're no geniuses, okay? But I don't think that she understood, like, really how YouTube culture works. It looks like she had... Okay, so for starters, the second that the shooting happened, her YouTube channel was gone and her website was gone. So when Alex Jones is talking about, we looked at her fucking website, bullshit. He didn't fucking see her website. Because I found out about that shooting, I'll tell you, at worst case scenario, the exact same time that Alex Jones found out about it, because I found out about it live, right? And even before there had been press conferences, it was just, you know, before we knew anything. And the instant thing I did is I wanted to look at her YouTube channel and see what kind of subs she had and what kind of views she had, right? And look for the YouTube and the webpage, and you couldn't. It was all gone. It was all taken down. So he's lying, but what's come out, people did find stuff and they posted it, and it looks like she had a enough of a following where she was monetized enough to where she was probably making a little bit of money, right? And seeing this as like a kind of primary source of income, and it looks like it might have been being that for her. And then the adpocalypse happens, right? And you know, the algorithm changes at YouTube. Everyone gets they're not fully demonetized, but a bunch of people's videos get demonetized. And when Punks for Progress hit YouTube, this had already kind of happened. So we've never made any money. So we've never lost anything, right, bro?
Well, yeah, we tried to monetize our stuff, but like, you know, I think we made a dime, or did we make it? We were stoked when we were going to make that first dollar. I don't think we ever made that first dollar, right?
Oh, we made like $13.
Oh, we did? Holy crap!
Like $13, and then so we got monetized in the midst of the adpocalypse already happening. But then what happens is another change came down from YouTube, and so we hit 413 subscribers today. You guys all fucking rule. You rule. I can't remember. I'm not going to get the number specifically, but it was roughly like if you're not getting 1,000 views a week, I think that was the number. You're going to be demonetized completely. And that came down and it hit us in mid-February. And so we knew that was coming. And so my suspicion is, bro, that Nassim had been making some money. The Adpocalypse hits. She gets a lot less views. And then she also gets, and then a lot less views or whatever. God, YouTube is a crapshoot, you know? And, but her views went down and then the Adpocalypse demonetized in a big way, and then this new thing came down, and I don't know for sure that this happened to her, but the timing seems really kind of on point. Is that I think she got that same notice that we did, man. And again, I don't have a way to prove it, but it hit, and so in the middle of February, all her monetization would have stopped like ours did. Now it didn't affect us because we've made $13 fucking. We don't care. That's not why we're doing this, but like, if she was making money. Now, again, she posted videos about being censored. None of her videos have been censored. None of them were taken down until after she committed this act, this disgusting, fucking, ridiculous act, reactionary, stupid thing that she did. Then all of her stuff got taken down, but nothing was censored. It was demonetized, and I think that's a massive difference. Because again, Alex Jones talking about the globalists or censoring us. He's actually having videos that are being flagged because he's promoting, dude, that scumbag motherfucker with the loincloth that shit in his pants for weeks to get out of Vietnam.
Yeah. What a disgusting person that guy is. Yeah.
What's his name? God damn, I can't even think of it.
Tad Nugent.
Yeah. That motherfucker went out on Alex Jones today and talked about we need to start fucking shooting Democrats and killing Democrats.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay. That's why, Alex Jones is having some issues. But Alex Jones wants to exploit this very obviously troubled person who was struggling to fucking understand her place in a culture and whatever. I'm not trying to make excuses for her, but exploiting what is obviously an anomaly in our culture. This shooting is an anomaly in our culture, facilitated by the access to guns, of course.
Of course.
But he's trying to turn it into, see, this is globalist censoring. And the globalists did this. They hadn't been censoring her. They wouldn't have triggered her into doing this. So it's George Soros and cultural Marxism, and then,
That's just his fucking rhetoric. He's just going to spew that shit and try to turn it, into his rhetoric. That's all it is.
Right. Totally.
But I mean, thank God this person didn't have an AK, AR, AF.
Oh my God.
Right? Real. And the ironic thing about it, she's the only one that's dead. Doesn't make it right. You still don't walk up with a gun and start shooting at people.
And for Tucker Carlson to talk about...
Oh, my God, right? Militant feminists? What a militant feminism? What a vile, disgusting thing, right?
Toxic feminism. Because when...
Because women still make more... Because women make more money than men, right? To this day, they still do, right? They make more... Oh, no, wait, that's the other way around. Women still don't make as much money as men.
But what he's doing, bro, is okay, so every time one of these fucking far-right shitheads goes out and shoots a whole shit ton of people at a school or a church or wherever, the topic of toxic masculinity comes up. And you got all these people who think, well, so being masculine is toxic because they're insanely ignorant dumb shits, and they don't understand that, no, there's a difference between masculine and toxic masculinity. And it's this toxic masculinity, and I'm not going to break it all down. Google it, man. And if you don't know the difference, maybe that's the fucking problem to start with. But toxic masculinity does lead to this like, I'm gonna go out and fucking prove my fucking, you know, patriotism and
my
whatever.
masculinity
Right.
by doing
And
something toxic.
Right. Okay.
It's pretty fucking simple.
So because and the fact that the vast majority, I mean, in the upper 90 percentile of all mass shootings are committed by males. The rare off chance that a shooting happens from a woman, they're like, okay, can we talk about, you know, toxic feminism now? No, we can't, because it's not fucking relevant.
Right? Does that ever come up at all? Because there's an army of feminazis, they like to call them. I guess that's what the right calls them too, right?
Right. That's the whole thing. It's a, you know, cultural Marxism.
Because you know what it is because their fucking penises are so little, okay, that they have to. Okay, we're being threatened. Yeah, no, you're not.
Michael.
No, seriously. If you had any masculinity, you wouldn't need a gun. Any masculinity at all.
I'm with you. Only that I think it's less small penis and more large amygdala,
or a combination of both.
Or a combination of both. Yeah.
I'm just saying, you know, when we're talking about masculinity, I know I tend to go that way when we're talking about masculinity, you know. But honestly, if you really need to do that to prove that you're a man, you really need to check yourself. I mean, I can tell you a lot of other ways that you can prove to me that you're a man, and going around and doing things that are toxic is not one of them.
And I don't think that Nassim was motivated by anything like that. I think she was freaking the fuck out. For whatever reason, she didn't have the faculties to deal with like kind of her notions of this
grandeur.
Maybe. Yeah, that she had kind of set up for herself, maybe kind of came crashing down, and that happens to everybody, man. And it can be hard, man. And again, it doesn't excuse what she did, but it's not like she went out to like make a fucking political point. It was totally fucking wrong what she did.
Well, it was almost, dude, it's almost like it would be almost considered like, you know, a postal worker. She kind of worked at YouTube, and she was pissed off. She went postal.
It is the went postal. It is the went postal stereotype in a lot of ways, but it's not. I'm gonna go shoot this church to start a race war. I'm gonna go shoot up this school because I you know, my freedom
I'm being
and
censored by globalists.
Right.
No, I'm pissed off because you took my money away, damn it, and now I can't afford to pay my rent and buy food. And, you know, I mean, it's hard enough to get a job and to pay rent and to buy food on a regular job. I mean, I don't want to go, you know, I don't want to get off topic and get into, you know, income inequality and minimum wage and a living wage. I don't know. We can talk about the teachers, you know, striking right now for a fucking living wage. Everybody should be paid a goddamn living wage. But, I mean, here's a person that's struggling to try to make a buck, to pay her rent, and to put food on the table. And she feels like that got taken away from her. And yeah, and she snapped. I mean, and it sucks. And what she did was not okay.
And the worst thing you could possibly do is turn that into some type of, like, counter argument to the Parkland shooting and the students of Parkland. And that's what we just watched in that video, was them trying to turn this into like, see, Parkland students, this nonsense we made up. And to be frank with you, bro, I think I'm kind of done talking about it. And I think you probably are too. And I want to move on to something more horrible.
Lovely.
Like cops have just stepped up the fucking mayhem. Like, everybody knows cops murder people every day in cold blood and are unaccountable for it on the streets of the United States of America. But we're going to get into a couple instances right now of I think a real step up in the notch of fucking fascist clampdown, bro. Like, running over protesters, a mass of fucking pigs just straight up opening fire on a homeless dude in a homeless shelter. Like,
oh my God, right? I mean, come
okay.
on. I hate to say this, but I mean, it's almost like, didn't we see some of this might happen? I'm still blown away that the fact that it's actually happening. The cops can actually fucking do this shit right now.
Okay, so let's start off getting people up to speed with this fucking pig that pulled a hit and run on a demonstrator who was out in the streets in solidarity calling for justice for Stephon Clark.
Yeah, you want let's roll that video, yeah?
Yeah, no, well, let's talk a little bit first
Okay.
about Stephon Clark. And I know a lot of people know what's up with Stephon Clark, and but Mike, can you get people up to speed a little bit on the specifics?
Yeah, he was the young black gentleman that was shot in his grandma's backyard because he had a cell phone in his hands. The cops thought was a fucking gun. And it's like, oh my God, do you hear it? Can you hear the anger in my voice already, brah? I'm seriously, I mean, honestly, you carry a fucking gun around with you every day. All right? Are you honestly telling me that you mistook a cell phone for a gun?
Bullshit.
Exactly. I call bullshit. I'm just
20 times they shot him
in the back. And did you see the family had him autopsied, and they had the doctor on do a news conference last week, and yeah, like out of the 20 times he was shot, like 18 of them or 15 of them were in the back. He was shot in the back.
Yeah.
Because he had a cell phone in his grandma's backyard. Why? Because he was black. Bottom of the
and
fucking
people
line.
Are logically freaking the fuck out about it because prior precedence tells us that nothing's gonna fucking be done.
Well, I think, but then
and
again,
so people are in the streets fucking doing shit about it, and they're making their voices heard, and they're letting their exasperation and their fucking anger and their righteous fucking indignation known in the street. And a cop fucking pulls this shit, bro. Show him the video.
Dude, so like hit and run.
Hit and run, bro.
Hit and run.
Hit and run. That's what that was. And it's this fucking ridiculous narrative that is in the last year and a half or so of like, yeah, if you're protesting in the car, if you're protesting in the streets, you're open game. I can hit you with my car. And, it happened to my friends under the arch in Reno.
Yeah, I remember.
My indigenous friends. We're spending 5 minutes protesting for Indigenous Peoples Day, and this right-wing fucking Trump-supporting asshole plowed him over.
Isn't that video on our page, bro?
Yeah. And then you got, what? I don't know. A few people heard about this fucking asshole in Charlottesville, right?
No.
And you see it all over social media and online. You get in my way, you get in my way on the way to work. I'll run you over with my car.
Yeah. No, I have seen it. If you're protesting in the street, then I have the right to run you over with my car. No, you don't. You don't understand. There's a reason that we're in the street. We're in the street to inconvenience you. Do you know why? Because this is an inconvenience, and you need to be made aware of what the fuck's actually going on. Okay.
Can I tell you something? This might be kind of encouraging, and it's a weird, like, okay, so many times that I've encountered this in debating shitheads online, I will say to them, and I don't claim to be fucking brilliant at all. This is just my normal, honest reaction is like, it's called protesting in the streets. It's been called that for centuries. And I've said this, and I swear to God, like, I'd say a good 80% of the time, there's no response after that. You know, I'm talking about like on social media and online, but like, it's not like I'm so brilliant and I came up with something, but like, dude, it's called protesting in the streets for a reason. Like, that is so common sense, normal thing.
Well,
and like, they don't.
Aaron, what would it be if it was them? What if you were protesting something you didn't like? What are you gonna do? You gonna stay on the sidewalk, or are you gonna get on the street where we can see it?
I'll do it on the street.
No, it's like
I'm a good American and patriot, and I do my things orderly.
Bullshit. No, you don't. It's just not even right, Mike. You're right. It's totally bullshit. It's totally like hypocritical crap nonsense.
More right-wing hypocritical bullshit.
Right. And what it boils down to is if you're doing something that I disagree with, I have a right to fucking murder you.
Exactly.
And now it's and now the cops have like bought into this thing. So way to go, alt-right. You facilitated, you bootlicking morons. You fucking facilitated the cops. It's now part of their culture, apparently.
Well, the cops are part of their culture.
Right. Cops and Klan.
The cops exactly. Proud Boys have infiltrated the law enforcement. We know that. Right wing has infiltrated law enforcement. I'm sorry, fascist right wing has infiltrated law enforcement.
I don't know if Proud Boys are actually become cops or not.
Dude, they're there. I'm telling
you. Yeah. That's been the Nazis back in fucking straight up, in the 80s and 90s. And the Aryan nations and all this kind of the Church of the Creator and this shit. These people like became cops and stuff. Man.
Exactly. We've talked about this.
Yeah. And now they're running over fucking protesters. It's fucking disgusting. And you know what? It's not even the start of their fucking tyranny and their ramping up of their fucking fascist oppression, bro. Let's show them what the fuck happened in Portland yesterday, dude.
Oh my God. They're at it again. They're at it fucking again. They're killing homeless people now. Again.
This is gnarly. This is gnarly, dude. This is like SS, a whole fucking team of cops just blowing away some houseless cat in a homeless shelter holding a knife. And he's completely on the other side of the room, not threatening anybody. Show him, bro.
Get out from behind them! Hey, move! Come on! You in?
Oh my God, please God. I am. Oh my God.
Fuck, dude.
Right? I'm speechless.
This is 2018. That was real, dude. That wasn't something on a TV show that was produced by some people. That was a whole fucking 15 fucking cops or something?
Dude, and a dog and
20 feet away from this dude who's standing all by himself holding some fucking rinky-dink knife, and they murder this motherfucker while ISIS is ripping people out of homes. And what was it, 78 people at a meatpacking plant that ICE ripped out of their fucking papers, please. SS. Can't happen here, bro. Can't happen here, Mike.
Cops running over people. This isn't the first time that cops have shot a houseless person. It happened in Fullerton not that long. I mean, a couple years ago. It was a big fucking deal. I can't remember the guy's name, but I mean, they fucking, the guy was standing there, no weapons, and not cognitively, aware of everything that was going on at the time with him. You know what I mean? He was off his meds. And they fucking shot him.
Yeah, we talked about
Fullerton.
that on the show with Tony, with Tony from Adolescence.
I think we did, yeah. Fullerton, brother.
Yeah, check out that show with our interview with Tony from the Adolescence, because we really actually broke that down big time. And what a perfect segue for, you know what, bro? SoCal Shannon's going to hang out with us. But we're not doing a SoCal Shannon scene report. She's actually going to give us a full-on, in-depth report. We're going fucking behind the orange curtain with SoCal Shannon.
Hey, Shannon. How's it going?
Hey. How you guys?
We're okay.
So,
just okay?
Well, we've been talking about a lot of heavy shit, like cops, like shooting houseless people and running over protesters and shit. Yeah, so we're okay.
Yeah, that's kind of a downer.
Yeah. But you have done a fabulous bunch of fucking DIY punk rock homework, and you are really going to take us behind the orange curtain today.
Dun, dun,
and you're going to talk
dun.
about what's going on with not only the foundation of where Orange County fucking came from. We're going to be hearing about how that relates to what's going on with the quote-unquote sanctuary city battle in Orange County. We're going to be talking about the massive concerted war against the houseless community in Orange County, and just all kind. Shannon. So
everywhere.
You come with the SoCal Shannon scene report, and you let us know about really amazing, cool actions that are going on and punk rock gigs and stuff. But stick with us. SoCal Shannon has a badass, like, in-depth report. We're going behind the fucking orange curtain, and to sort of set it up, there's this really cool punk rock movie called Clockwork Orange County, and it's about kind of the environment around the fucking cuckoo's nest. And we got a little segment from it, and we're going to play it real quick, and then we're going to get into SoCal Shannon taking us behind the fucking orange curtain. So,
dun, dun, dun.
Mike, you want to play that video, and then we'll come back and talk?
Yeah, for sure.
I like the attitude, you know? Fuck you. I'll do what I want.
Okay by me. Every time I try to walk by there, the cowboys try to butt fuck me there. They told us that fucking these are shit kickers and we're not allowed to wear them. Oh, yeah. We don't know how to kick shit. Yeah, we don't know how to kick shit. Don't know how to eat it either, but they suck a lot of it over there.
We truly believed the etho and the ideal. We absolutely believed it, you know, and therefore we were reckless beyond belief.
There was a lot of hostility towards the club next door, which was like a cowboy bar. There was just a lot of friction that started to occur.
You know, you're devos, and why you look like that, and you're un-American, you commie faggot, you're probably shooting heroin and selling child pornography on video.
A new enemy reared their ugly head, and it was the cowboy redneck.
The Southern Californian redneck, who is very well fed, very big, very able, and wants to indiscriminately punch the living daylights out of anything that looks like punk rock.
And there they were at Zuby's, sharing a parking lot with the Cuckoo's Nest and the punk rockers, who were already dressed to challenge everybody. You know, they were looking for an enemy of some kind, and then they found it right there in their parking lot. I mean, it was Orange County. What enemies is a redneck going to have? So they found us. It was pretty frightening. I mean, I know for one, I was only like 16, 17. I didn't want anything to do with it.
I mean, punks aren't doing anything that bad. And the cowboys, not to mention the cowboys at Zuby's, hating the punks, antagonizing them and calling them names for no reason and stuff. Of course, the punks would retaliate, you know. You know, like anybody would if you said, you know, you're ugly, I hate your guts. Somebody would say, you know, no, I'm not, and like wonder why they did it, you know.
Like these cowboys like came out about 5 strong. They're all, hey, you homosexuals. They're all, you know, sitting around, and we're all 20 punks running around the corner. The cowboys turn, run back into their club with their tails behind their legs. 20 beer bottles crashing against the door they just ran in. Just like a barrage of hand grenades in Iraq.
It was like oil and water in that parking lot where we had the hard hat guys and we had the punkers. And you can imagine it in the evenings, you know, they're coming to dinner with their families and these guys are coming to raise havoc.
Yeah, what do they think of the punks?
They don't like them.
They don't?
No, they don't like punks.
What do they do?
Gawk at them, call them names, get into fisticuffs with them.
They generally started?
Yeah. Yeah, they generally start a lot of the problems.
Invite them over to watch this movie. All you folks at Zoomies can fuck off, man.
And the Cuckoo's Nest had the potential, not only these cowboy ass-whooping jock types who will fight anybody, they'll fight the security, they were ready to go.
You know, you get a bunch of drunk rednecks in their pickup trucks and they see a bunch of crazy, you know, multicolored haired, spiked haired, mohawked haired guys, and it's like, hey, it's gonna be a gang fight.
It wasn't even like the people at Zuby's were the problem. It was a stereotyped person that that a lot of us had to deal with.
Oh yeah, they used to come around and be tough, and the punks would beat them up. You know, it's like one time we had 6 guys in football helmets and baseball bats march up to the Cuckoo's Nest. They were gonna kick some punk ass. And the punks saw him and just went, oh boy, and about 80 punks took out after these 6 people, and they dropped their bats and hauled ass. It was great.
That is such a good movie, and that was a great clip from it.
Well, it gets to the point of what we're going to talk about, like this long history of just white violent privilege in Orange County. Right, Shannon?
And the music that went with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Shannon, talk to us about not only well, Mike, I don't know if you ever lived in Orange County. I did. I lived in Mission Viejo. I lived in Dana Point.
I actually did, bro.
It just depended on who my mom was dating at the time. So normally I lived in butthole shit fucking communities in Southern California. But
you lived in Dana Point was a good place. I mean, it was not bad. I mean, it was for a beach city. I had considered living there as well. I mean, it's
Dana Point's still nice.
It's still behind the orange curtain. It's nice. There's expensive areas and there's not
still
so
too
expensive areas.
to live in.
Yeah, no, there's places.
Mission Viejo is deep orange curtain. I lived there in 5th and 6th grade. That's when I lived in Mission Viejo, and it was
always
crawling.
That way?
It was
I wouldn't know.
crawling
I'm a
with
North
white
County
men.
girl.
It was crawling with just like very, very comfortable, privileged white people. That's what Mission Viejo was.
Oh yeah, it was almost, brother.
Mowed our lawns. It was straight up all brown people that were mowing lawns.
Well, it still pretty much is. But Mission Viejo was like, I mean, I remember back in the early '80s, you know, driving through there, going down to Sano. It was kind of up and coming at the time, and so because it was South Orange County, it was looked as
kind of laid back, though.
Yeah, it was a little bit more laid back. You're right, and I even remember people from Chino moving out there and going, "Oh, Mission Viejo's not bad. I mean, it's to me, it's suburbs of Orange County. I mean, it's
right.
Not far. It's not
well,
super
Orange
far from
County's
the beach.
One big suburb.
Right, I know, huh? But now, Shannon, you said you were a North County girl because I lived in Brea for a few years, so I was up northern Northern.
We
Orange
lived
County.
in Yorba Linda when I was born, which is right next door.
And I did pools
and where
in
Nixon
Yorba
was
Linda.
born too.
Yeah, you're right. Dude, I lived.
Hey guys, squirrel, check it out. Tell us a little bit, Shannon, about how did Orange County come about?
Well, Orange County came about some doctor, Henry William Head, I'm not joking. That's his name.
His name
he was
Ed?
a Civil War guy. That's his name. He was an assemblyman in L.A. County, and I guess it just wasn't white enough or something, and he didn't start it all by himself, but he is the one who
but he had
pulled
some,
the strings and made
he
it
had
happen.
some help from who?
He had some help from other KKK members.
Other white supremacists.
Yeah, that was
okay. So
was
basically,
in 1889,
what you're telling us, Shannon, is that Orange County was basically organized by a bunch of damn white supremacists.
Yes.
Yes. And they were mainly concentrated in Anaheim, but Brea, La Habra, there's a couple, Fullerton. I mean, we still have some schools and I think some parks named after them. Chapman University has something.
After a KKK member.
I think it's a building named after. Yeah, they were council members. They ran like Anaheim, 80% of their what's that called?
Their entire
city council
were
were Klansmen.
That's right.
Yeah, that was in the 20s. That was like the heyday for the KKK in Orange County.
Right.
There
like,
were a lot.
And the hub of all the KKK activity, like Anaheim, California, was lock, stock, and barrel 100% Klan. Like all of,
much.
I mean, and one of the
but
largest.
Fullerton wasn't much better.
and that's relevant. And that's relevant to. Yeah, so that's the nature of it, and that's relevant to why. Talk to us, Shannon, about what's going on with all of these different local Fullerton and Mission Viejo, and there's different communities, San Diego, or maybe not San Diego, but these different Orange County communities that are jumping on this, like they want to detach from sanctuary city status, and
Fullerton brought it up for a vote, but they
did?
They
I'm sorry.
it down.
Who did?
Fullerton.
Okay.
But they voted it down, their city council. So that's a good thing. But Mission Viejo, however, voted for it, and so did Los Al, and so did the Board of Supervisors, Orange County Board of Supervisors.
So
I don't know if they've taken the vote, but they're in favor of it.
So Mission Viejo, Los Alamos, and the Orange County Board of Supervisors are all Los Alamitos, not Los Alamos. Los Alamitos.
No.
Los Alamitos is Orange County because I thought that was LA County.
It's still Orange County.
Okay.
And so all three of these bodies are on board right now with pulling out
federal lawsuit,
quote unquote sanctuary status. And Shannon, get us up to speed. What is sanctuary city really? What is sanctuary city? Yeah, go ahead.
It means that the immigrants, the DACA recipients, that we're not gonna work with ICE.
But basically we're not going to. Yeah, that those cities are the cities that are sanctuary cities are saying, hey, you know what? You can come here and live here and be here, and we're not going to rat you out to ICE. We're not going to cooperate with the federal authorities.
Let me
not cooperate with ICE.
Right. That's what
that
it is.
Means a little more, and that's like they're not going to work with them.
Right. That's what I said.
So what it is,
it's kind of like saying "fuck you."
Exactly what it's saying.
You're not going to do this here.
So what it is specifically is that a sanctuary city is not something that is like a proactive sort of policy. Sanctuary city just says we are not going to force our law enforcement to take on extra added duties of facilitating what ICE is doing. Okay.
Correct.
So the sanctuary city, it's not like a sanctuary state or a sanctuary city has some policy in place that makes it easier or better or comfortable for immigrants to get there. It just says, no, we are not going to divert our local law enforcement to the purposes of ICE, right? So Fullerton or Mission Viejo or Los Alamitos, what they're saying is we want to add an extra added responsibility onto our local law enforcement, which will make them now border control agents, which will require a lot more funding and a lot more money and a lot more people being rooted out of their homes and papers, please, SS, ICE behavior. So sanctuary city is not a thing like, oh, California has done all these things to make it easy for immigrants to get here. It's just, no, we're just going to concentrate on what our law enforcement is supposed to do, which is enslave black people. And we don't want to, divert our attention from enslaving and murdering black people to concentrate on, diverting those resources to what ICE is doing in their attempt to, marginalize and scapegoat brown people to facilitate Trump's fascist regime.
Right, and that goes for other official offices as well. They don't have to work with ICE because, ICE, they target everywhere. And especially in California since,
Yeah, and this
Trump had to chime in on that too. I mean, he praised Orange County.
Right.
Which helps a lot. And
came down there and got them all riled up.
Well,
man.
it helps his base. He's got base in Orange County, dude. He came down to Costa Mesa and did a little, a little speech there at Pacific Amphitheater before the election.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that, and in San Diego too. They protested the hell out of him. That was huge.
And these same fucking people, Shannon, that were like, getting in their trucks and, hanging out and drinking beer at Zuby's and going out to beat up punk rockers. It's the same fucking mentality. These are the people that are now
same
like
dudes on Black Star Canyon, driving four-wheeling with the, I call them the blue flag fuckers.
Yeah. Blue line moron.
They're breaking the law of waving these flags. It's like So they're frickin' punks. And not in a good way.
Right. Yeah. And these are the people that are like setting Orange County policy now because those idiots, mommy and daddy, always had money. And now, they're the new generation that are on the city council and shit,
Yep.
And these are the idiots that are running Orange County, man, and facilitating all this crap with Trump. And, it's not just that like, oh, it's like Trump sucks. And, we're here to do, all about immigrants. I mean, all that stuff is incredibly important, but it has a real-time effect on like people from America and real-time citizens who are really struggling to make it in this totally fucked up capitalist wasteland that we live in.
When this all started, I went, it was Yorba Linda. It was Ed Royce's office. And I think the young lady was about 10 and she was talking. She was a DACA recipient. And they were at Arthur, was across the street yelling on his bullhorn. There was another guy yelling awful things that I won't repeat. And she's in tears. And I just don't understand it. It's a child. What is wrong with you? It makes no sense.
And meanwhile, while this idiot who brings her to tears and is propping up this disgusting oppressive state that is leaving a shit ton of people in Orange County behind, right, Shannon? There's a hell of a lot of people who don't have the luxury of, a driveway or a front lawn. They have homes. They have places they fucking go to every night. And even that's under threat. Right? We're seeing our house. Right. We're seeing things, cops and politicians posting
Well, and now when you
alerts
get
and-
out of jail,
well, let me say this real quick, and then I'm going to let you completely go off, is that we're seeing alerts from politicians like, be aware, there's a new homeless encampment in Santa Ana, and we're going to do something about it. You know?
and that
like,
guy's forced sanctuary. Okay.
Wow. So get us up to
But he's
speed.
against-
Okay. So let's take it back a notch. Get us up to speed, John, on what the hell is going on this massive war against the houseless community in Southern California, and primarily Orange County. But I mean, it's broader than Orange County. But
Oh yeah, LA is worse, really. I mean, Orange County's smaller, so it's hard to say. I mean, I want to say all of California, but then you say all of the West, but then you say it's kind of the whole world, really, right now.
Of course,
it's crazy. But Orange County got pretty famous last summer when the UN came here and declared our houseless population basically third world country level. So our board of supervisors were forced to deal with it, and how they started dealing it was with mass arrests, and then people with mental illness or just different. They don't even know. I mean, some people were thrown in institutions that weren't clinically, diagnosed with anything.
Right.
And so some of them were drug addicts. And they send them to these places, and not even just jail, but the institutions reports to people being beaten and raped and robbed. It's awful. I mean, they go from the streets where they're semi-safe, to this, or a shelter where the same thing's going on. They're not safe. The shelters aren't safe. That's why people don't want to go in there, and that's always the argument. Well, why don't they go to a shelter? They don't want to go to shelters because they don't want to obey the rules. Well, the rules are you can't leave, and you're getting beat up, mugged, raped, So it's out of control.
Read this book.
This is many years.
Or pray with us now, or promise you'll do
right.
this.
But
or listen
the
to our
churches really aren't
speech,
there. Seriously, church members are there, righteous people, but not the churches themselves necessarily. Now, there is a church in Santa Ana that, since I can remember, has, had food services on the weekend. I think they stopped doing it on Saturday. They just do it on Sunday now. But so, I mean, there's stuff like that, but that's it. The outreach is really just the community. And there's not enough. There's not enough of us to even make a difference. Anyway, they what they did is a portion of the Santa Ana riverbed. There was about 800 people. I know there was more. The counts don't count, really. They don't count everybody because people don't want to be counted. They don't trust anybody. And then, not everybody, but many. And then you have the RV population that isn't counted. They're not there, but they technically are houseless. In the eyes of the government, they are. So you have all these issues, and they offer vouchers for a month. And they were supposed to get
what's going on
temporary.
in the Santa Ana riverbed? What specifically is going on in the Santa Ana riverbed?
I'm sorry. They kicked people out. They started kicking them out. Initially, there was no plan. And because so many people did get involved in the community, they're at city council every week. Right. They ended up giving a voucher to people who weren't arrested or sent to an institution, and they could stay at a motel for a month. So when that expired, they were supposed to go to temporary shelters that the board was going to set up in different cities. I think it was Huntington Beach. I know it was Huntington Beach. Irvine. How could I forget Irvine? I can't remember. Oh, Laguna Niguel. And they all said no. So that fell through. And then when that fell through, they abandoned it altogether. And then they tried to say, we're going to move people to Riverside. We're going to build a shelter in Riverside. You're talking about thousands of people. And
Just
Riverside
kicking the
said
can.
no. Riverside said no, which I don't blame them. Some of these people are lifelong residents of Orange County. Why should they have to move from their hometown? Because they haven't done anything wrong. Like everybody else, the system failed them.
Well, three
and
letters.
The greedy corruption.
3 letters, Shannon. UBI. Universal Basic Income.
Yep.
I mean, they're going to stick these guys in, some of these people in hotels for a month. They can already see a glimpse into the value of giving them a leg up for a second. I mean, they're going to fuck them after that month.
It's
And then
already
what?
expired
You know,
for most of the people. They have no plan. And a judge, one good thing, a judge ruled that they have to stop criminalizing the people in the encampments, that until they have a plan, that they can't, the police need to leave them alone. But I mean, all those people were moved already. And that's right by Anaheim Stadium. It's visible.
Go
Wow.
get your hot dog and home run. Woo, America!
Dude, yeah, no, dude, I've ridden my bike by there. I've seen it. It's huge. We've got them here in Hawaii, too, and they're doing the same thing. They're fucking rounding these people up and just shipping them out and, like, cleaning the stuff up. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Where are you going to take them? I think Hawaii's got the biggest population of houseless people in the nation.
Really?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
seriously. It's because it's warm here.
Talk to us, Mike.
Seriously. I mean, I don't know the situation. I know it's bad here, and I know that there's.
You're new.
Right.
Let me just say real quick, Mike is new to the island, so he's obviously not an expert, but
no, but there's a huge homeless
There's
encampment.
no getting away from it, right? I mean,
no, it's definitely here. There's one not too far from here. I would say like just on the other side. Look, as I go into Waialua or into Wahiawa from here, there's a big one like in the trees and by the river there. But I mean, there's other ones around the island that, maybe even closer to town that they've taken out 250, 200 people. And it's like, okay, great, you're going to clean this out. Where the fuck are you going to put these people? You're just going to take all their shit and clean it out. And then what are you going to do with these people? Where do you expect them to go?
Well, and
you're
they
not
don't
solving
know
the
what they're
problem, man.
Throwing away.
It's
What
their
if it
shit.
was
It doesn't
like
matter.
Pictures of their parents, or
No, it's their shit.
But they
I'm
deem
sorry.
everything hazardous if because of drug use.
Yeah, isn't there something in the Constitution about due process and about, not losing your fucking property until you had the right to due process? Oh,
unless not if you don't have a bank signed something and validated your right to fucking, exist in that spot. So if a bank hasn't validated your right to exist, or some realtor or some boss or some fucking capitalist pig, then you don't have a right to exist in this spot. And we're not going to create another place for you to exist. We're just going to disperse you because you're all up in our face and making the reality of capitalism all sorts of real up in our face, and the stratification that it provides. And so we don't want to look at you. So we're going to put all of our law enforcement in place to disperse you.
Because it's so easy, Aaron. It's so easy because they've dehumanized them. They're not human. It's okay because they're subhuman. They're subhuman.
We've always
because we
dehumanized
just
them.
went by a bad car accident today, and I started crying, and my son's like, oh, but I'm like, see, that's what's messed up. They do help, but they're militarized. They're trained to kill. They're like that it's a gang. It's like that they're trained. You know how to act. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah,
So
they're so trained, but they can't tell the difference between a fucking gun and a cell phone.
Oh,
Yeah.
a homeless person. So their reaction to the houseless problem is, well, smash it and fucking kill it and fucking lock it up. That's what we do, right?
And
there's a houseless problem.
They
so
don't even
smash
lock.
the
They
fuck
don't
out of
even. You lock them up so they can get money out of it, but they kick them out. They've defunded all the mental institutions, all the places where these people could probably get some help and some medication,
And that's why they're so bad too.
And they kick him out on the street.
Yep.
That's been going on for years, man. I've seen videos of them
Reagan
absolutely
did
doing that. There, thank you, Shannon.
Reagan did that, and that's when the Greyhound method started. That they put homeless people or mentally ill,
give
for
them a
lack of a
Greyhound
better
ticket.
word. Yeah, and ship them to another state. And I remember there was a big thing about that.
I do.
I think it was in the 90s.
No, check it out. It became a national trend. Like, it happened in Reno too.
Right.
So when in downtown Reno, all the houseless community used to sort of congregate around the Truckee River in downtown at Wingfield Park. And
yeah, of course.
They went through and they completely wanted to renovate downtown, the whole downtown region, which I am still to this day supportive of. But what I'm not supportive of is they gave all these people like bus tickets and like just expected, like they didn't do anything to deal with the people. That's where we used to do food, not bombs, bro, because that was like, we knew where people were. We could bring them, and like,
It
and
still
after
happens,
that,
just not on the same level.
right. So, I mean, so it's all over the place. It's like the way to deal with it is, well, we'll just send them somewhere else.
And that's not the solution.
know?
That's what I was trying to say. You're not even freaking putting bandages on the problem. You're not addressing the problem. You're removing the eyesore, basically. Oh, I'm sorry. It's an eyesore. Really?
Right.
Guess what? It's just like the protesters in the street. Sorry. Is it an inconvenience for you? Then maybe you should fucking actually do something to solve the problem.
The homeowners are ridiculous.
Right.
I do, and I it's the same out here.
And I just want to say this too.
I don't want my property value to go down. Oh my God.
And
someone's
I'm gonna say
dying
this.
in the street, lady.
Yeah, I'm going to say this, and then we can. We have some other things that we're going to talk about, and I'd like it if you'd hang out with us, Shannon, because we have a couple other topics we want to talk about. But I want to say this eyesore that we're talking about, these are fucking human beings.
Thank you.
These are fucking human beings. These are people who were born as little babies, and for whatever reason, their life didn't turn out really awesome.
Capitalism might have something to do with that.
And you know who the number one is women above retirement age. My friend, I have a friend at the Santa Ana, the Civic Center, and she's 67. Her husband got cancer. She lost her job because she had to take care of him. She lost her apartment of, I don't know if it was 15, 20 years, something like that. And she's on the street.
And we can do better than this.
Well, that's what I'm
kidding?
saying. If people can't afford to live,
this
and they
planet
should be
has
able to on the income they have.
That's right. This planet has the resources to take care of everybody.
Oh my God, totally.
We are.
And we have the intelligence.
Capitalism is
We're
making
supposed
life,
to.
Capitalism is making life very easy for a very small handful of people and fucking utterly miserable for
And
the
you
rest
know,
of us.
I didn't always understand the large picture. I always just said I hate money since I was a teenager because I don't like materialistic ways of thinking or life, you know. So I never had a need for it really, but you have to have it in the system. But when you get older and you start putting all the pieces of the puzzle together, and it just all comes back to one thing. It always seems to, anyway.
Yep.
It's capitalism, which is greed. It's just greed.
Yep. And the indulgence of that big giant fucking amygdala. And check it out. So let stick with us, Shannon. We're going to talk about there is it's not the do all end all. It's not going to save everything. It's not the answer, and it's not the road to utopia, but the 2018 midterm election is coming up. And
what? It's not utopia?
It's not going to be utopia, bro.
Oh, dude.
But
I swear you told me it was going to be.
I know, and that was because I was trying to convince you to do a podcast with me.
Oh, okay,
Dumbass. Yeah. But we're going to...
And you fell for it.
You did. So we're going to really get into a number of things about the midterm election. We're going to talk about the interstate cross-check stuff. We're going to be talking about the census and how that's relevant to... the midterms, and we're also going to be talking about, we're going to get heated and argue about blue wave versus Trump hats.
You know, this is just all just going to piss me off.
I know it is. So let's get into it.
I'm glad Shannon's going to be with us, so let's do this. And we are back from behind the orange curtain, and SoCal Shannon is still with us.
What's up, Shannon?
I am. Hey.
So we are going to really jump deep into the upcoming midterm election. But
do I need another pair of high top docks, bro?
You do. 10 more eyelets to those 20, now 30 into 40 eyelet Doc Martens, because we're about to I think a real good premise to set this up with is this recent talk that Greg Palast had with Tom Hartman.
Oh, dude, was that the most awesome or what?
Let's just go ahead and play it, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Sounds good.
So look, as soon as I heard that Trump was adding the question about whether you have a non-citizen in your household to the census, I smelled Kobach immediately. And I just, so I said, I even got on, I was on the air saying, this just is pure Chris Kobach, because I knew that he had suggested it in the secret memo, which the ACLU got from me, thank you, from January of 2017. It's one of his tricks to hunt down illegal non-citizen voters, the alien voters coming from Mexico and Mars, landing here and voting for Hillary.
Right.
Now, it would be so there's two things going on here. And by the way, I didn't have to guess anymore. Chris Kobach actually proudly announced that he was behind the citizenship question. Now, very important, Tom, that the national press did not take note of when Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Trump's spokeswoman, said, his consigliere there, said, when he asked, why are you adding the citizenship question? She said, and no one picked this up, to protect the Voting Rights Act, to better enforce the Voting Rights Act.
So we want to protect minorities? Is that what she's saying?
No, their idea, Chris Kobach's idea, and he's talked to me, by the way, about this, not necessarily voluntarily, but when I corner him and jump him. His idea is of protecting voters is to prevent the non-citizen voters from diluting your vote, what he calls stealing my vote because they're non-citizens on the voter roll. He can't find any. In 20 years of hunting, he found one, a guy who started voting before his citizenship papers came through. He is a U.S. citizen. So this is about hunting down those non-citizen voters. That's
those
half
non-existent non-citizen voters.
Right. And we know that from his prior operations like cross-check and his citizenship proof case, which just went to court 2 weeks ago, that the methods he uses to determine whether you're a citizen voter are pretty suspect. Now, there's everyone named Jose Garcia. I'm not kidding. He literally had an expert named Jesse Richmond say that he goes through the voter rolls and finds, quote, un-American names like Garcia and Hernandez. I kid you not.
Wow.
So this will be used. Here's what they're going to do. They're going to send out a postcard to every family in the census that says that they have a non-citizen in their household to confirm that they, the voter, are a citizen. Now, you get junk mail, you throw it out, and you're going to lose You're going to lose literally 1 million voters if this happens.
Okay, see, that dude, Greg Palast, knows what the fuck he's talking about, man.
Absolutely.
I mean, come on. We've had the Chris Kobach on our radar from long back. And I mean, I have been yelling and screaming Chris Kobach's name on this show since the election. I swear to God, that's why Trump is where he's at, and this is what they're fucking doing. They're trying to make sure. I mean, remember he was on ahead of that stupid freaking committee that he organized, that Trump organized right after he got in, the voter integrity committee or some bullshit name like this, right? Yeah, because they're trying to steal the election, the next election, because their shit is unpopular. Look at the resistance. That's what they're doing. They're trying to steal the fucking election, and this is another way to do it. Put this on the census, and then now you can gerrymander your district lines, redraw them according to numbers, because you know these people aren't going to answer that fucking question. You're going to take money away from cities that might need them, and you're taking away votes from people. So, kill five birds with one freaking stone.
Right, and that exacerbated by Chris Kobach's previous endeavors, which is to get people removed from the voter rolls.
Right, which is exactly what he did.
Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people removed from the voter rolls.
In Michigan, dude, seriously, I mean, what was it? I swear to God it was Michigan, and Trump won by, I want to say, 2,000 votes or something like that, and there was maybe it was 20,000, and there was 200,000 actually removed from the voter rolls because they had similar names. And
and they accuse us of voter fraud.
Right, and that's exactly what they were talking about. That there's no evidence of voter fraud at all. They found one motherfucking case. And it was on their side, as I recall. It was on their side, as I recall. Some stupid lady tried to vote twice, and and it's mostly stupidity and I didn't realize, and they go back to the registering. Okay, so check it out. So now I've moved to another state. I have to re-register to vote here. Okay, I'm still registered in California. Am I going to change? Hey, excuse me, California, I've moved, so I'm just going to re-register here. Okay, so is there not some kind of system that says I've re-registered in Hawaii and I'm registered in California? Okay, can you figure it out? If I registered in Hawaii, so I'm obviously not going to be voting in California. So I'm not, you know what I'm saying?
I'm not going to. If you move within the same state or county, you still have to do it for
right, and that's what I had to do when I moved from Chino to Redlands. I had to re-register because I had a new address, and I did to make sure that I was eligible to vote in the election, right? But so I'm still registered in Chino, so now I'm illegal to vote because I'm registered in Chino, Redlands, and now Hawaii. See, that's bullshit.
The only time it's a problem, and they want to pretend that is some type of example of voter fraud. The only time it becomes a voter fraud is if you actually voted in Chino, Redlands, and Hawaii, and they have no examples of anyone doing anything remotely related to that type of activity, except for some hillbilly moron woman that tried
she didn't have to wait in line
to vote for Trump some more.
Well, let me also say this.
It's just not an issue. So let me say it real quick, Mike, and then I'll let you go.
Okay.
It's just this imaginary problem. Everything that Trump stokes fear behind is imaginary. that there's this whole bunch of people who are committing voter fraud, which set up this voter integrity whatever panel that Chris Kobach started, which is this Orwellian bullshit about it's not about voter integrity. It's about stealing voter integrity. And so what they've been doing this whole time is, thank you, and it's all about preparing for these upcoming elections. It's preparing for the gerrymandering, and it's about setting up. So this is one component that they have in place. This is the right-wing campaign platform. This is component one. And now we're going to look at component two. So, Mike, go ahead and show this little clip. This little clip from it's from Young Turks, but it shows the campaign commercial from.
Oh, really? You're gonna make me play this freaking vile, disgusting campaign commercial from this fucking right-wing fuckknuckle? All right, guys, here you go.
Substance, no platform, no positions, no policy, nothing.
But he's got a MAGA hat, bro.
He's got a MAGA hat, and he's running on it, and it may work. So go ahead and play it, and then we're going to come back and break it down.
If you still need a demonstration of how content-free and Trump worship-focused the Republican Party has become over the past year or so, take a look at this ad. It's the latest ad from a Republican Senate primary candidate.
I'm Todd Rokita, and here's the truth. We're not going to beat Joe Donnelly with a rhino. Mike Braun, he's a lifelong Democrat. He voted for Obama or Hillary. Wow. And Luke Messer, he plotted with the Never Trumpers to steal the nomination from President Trump. You gotta be kidding me. I'm Todd Rokita, and I'll proudly stand with our president and Mike Pence to drain the swamp. I'm Todd Rokita, and I approve this message.
Okay, I got my MAGA hat.
Well, then I'm voting for you.
There you go.
That's what.
Oh
no, that's
God. Seriously, dude. I mean, okay, so I guess his whole freaking platform is whatever Trump's platform is. If you agree with Trump, then you want to vote for me. Okay, good, dude. You just got like 33%. That's all you get. That's it.
But that's all they're ever going to get. You know,
exactly.
Actually,
it's all they've ever had.
Well, let me. So the reason I actually picked I could have just went and found his campaign commercial and thrown it in there. The reason I used the Young Turk segment is because I really would like people to watch that Young Turk segment because they did some really cool analysis of it. Like one, they had some real great fun with it. Like for instance, the way he pulls the hat out, he literally pulls that fucking hat out of his ass. Literally pulls it out of his ass. And I got to give it up to Jank, who I get mad at all the time. But he pointed out that this dude had just pulled this hat out of his ass. And then, but
that's awesome.
But there's a bunch of other like weird little critiques.
It's like when athletes put the hats on of their sponsors.
Right. Out of their ass. But that's
no, they got the guy behind them hanging
anyway,
handing him the hat. Yeah.
So I mean but here's the thing, and I have a number of concerns about this ad, and my main concern is in relation to the effect it could have on the Overton window. But I'll get to that. But first I want to talk about I think that this is a winning sort of strategy on a couple of reasons. And again, the Young Turks kind of laid this out in their segment, but they talk about how, Trump is so all over the place and it's so hard to pin him down. So if any of these candidates pin themselves on a certain thing, we're like, okay, we know Trump's good on this thing with NAFTA or whatever. Well, he may completely fucking change the next day. And now this guy's going to get saddled with having had a position the other way. So none of these people who run as right-wingers under Trump being the leader of their party are going to be able to run on any type of substantial policies or ideas or anything. They're just going to have to say, check it out, Trump hat. And, Mike, I would relate it to this. From our culture and things that we relate to as far as like these people, if they see this person put the Trump hat on, that's good enough for them. Like for us, it would be like if the dude, was like, check it out, I got a germs tattoo and I'm running for Senate. We'd be like, I might vote for you, But for them, that's it. Oh, he's got a MAGA hat. Cool. It's on, and of course, if the dude did have a germs tattoo, that's not enough to win our vote, but it would get our fucking attention.
Well, if you had a germs tattoo and a cramps tattoo.
Right. But you know what, Mike? I don't even think that would be enough for us. I think we'd be like,
But
okay,
what
you've
does
got
the
my
MAGA
attention.
hat represent to the majority of those people?
See, and I'm going to get to that.
It
Good
doesn't
question, Shannon.
represent policy.
Right. Well, hold on 1 minute. Brilliant. And I'm going to get back to that. But so for us, if it was, even if it was the cramps tattoo and the germs tattoo, it would get our attention and we'd already like this person and we'd be very interested in their ideas. But I think it would be like, all right, let me hear your policies. And in that moment, I would be looking for where I disagree with them.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, no, I agree with you, Aaron. I would be the same way. I'm like, okay, so we have this in common. So now what don't we have in common?
Right.
No, and I'm going to give you the time of the day because, first of all, you've impressed me with the fact that you like the cramps and that you know who the germs are. Okay, so you obviously you have, we have the same taste in music. So, do we have the same taste in politics? And I'm going to listen to you now with an open mind.
Right.
With a lot more of an open mind.
You're qualified?
Well, no, of course not. No.
Right.
No, and I mean, come on, and I think that we're both a little bit more open-minded to see that
politically astute.
Yeah, that just because you have this doesn't mean shit, man. But I mean, I guess if you have a MAGA hat, So, but I mean, seriously, look what that represents, man. You really want to stand behind racism? This is the most racist motherfucking president we have ever had. Blatant fucking racist president. You can't deny it.
Hold on, guys.
People didn't support bands that weren't racist or fascist.
That's right. Okay, so let me say this about the MAGA hat thing, and then I'm going to let you guys totally go off. Okay, so here's the difference between what we just described. Like, okay, so there's a positive trigger, germs tattoo and a cramps tattoo, right? Now, for on the converse, on the opposite side is, oh, he just put on a MAGA hat, so now he's got attention. Now, these people, that's it. There's no more asking questions. They don't care about substance. They don't care about anything at that point. That's enough. And that is always been, I think, the difference between the left and the right, not Republican versus Democrat, the left versus right. Big giant amygdala having conservative versus, educated thinking, questioning, leftist people.
I
right?
absolutely agree with you, Aaron. You are right on track with that. Absolutely. And I will even take it one step farther. These big-ass, giant amygdalan having people do not know how to make their own motherfucking decisions, so they need somebody else to make them for them. So as soon as they see the MAGA hat, it's like, obviously we have the same views. I don't need to. I no longer need to think because I now know that we think the same way, even if they don't. Okay, I mean, and I'm going to take it one step further, and you can disagree with me if you want. I have no problem with it. But I mean, it's the same thing with religion. You do not have the fucking capability of knowing the difference between right and wrong, and you need somebody to tell you that.
Right. It's like this, Mike. It's like,
so you don't have to think anymore. You don't have to make that decision anymore, bro. It's made for you.
Yes. Check it out. You have a MAGA hat and a cross necklace. Oh, shit, it's on. Praise Jesus. Okay, God's will has been made manifest in you. And that's it. You don't have to espouse any policy, any ideas.
You have.
Or even morals.
You just wore your freaking bumper sticker on your ass, dude. You have explained exactly who you are. If I look at you and I see you wearing a big-ass cross and a MAGA hat, I am walking on the other side of the damn sidewalk.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I want nothing to do with you. I don't want to talk to you, and I'm not going to give you the time of day.
Like you're what's wrong.
Yeah, you're exactly what's wrong with society.
That's usually the blue flag.
With your racist Trump-supporting ass. Yeah, I'm done talking about what I wanted to say, Shannon. Go for it.
Yeah.
That's not a right or left thing either, because I have family that are conservative, that are probably Republican. My grandparents were Democrats until Reagan, but they were religious.
My parents were the same way. They were Reagan Democrats as well.
And that's so different than this Alex Jones fueled evangelical version of heretical Christianity.
The difference
Can I say something
now
about that?
is it's from the pulpit. They preach politics
Yeah,
from
that's
the
right.
pulpit. Before it was
That's right.
outside the church. I mean, it wasn't like they didn't
You're right.
talk
No,
their Klan stuff
Shannon.
it was just outside.
I know. It was. I think maybe it was in some instances, but I also remember it being in church and hearing it from the pulpit. So they did fucking say their shit. They may not have been quite as open and blatant about it, but
very
but they
different now,
did.
Mike. It's very
no.
different now. Especially because
absolutely
Trump did loosen those fucking laws. He undid that. I can't remember the name. We
it's
talked
the
about
one
it
where
on the
they
show a
don't.
while ago.
They don't get the
tax exemption.
It's tax exemption.
Yes,
Yes, exactly.
right.
Let me say this though, bro. I saw this little fucking cartoon that really broke it down, and I probably should have shared it on our page. I don't think I did, but but it made a lot of sense to me, and why evangelicals support Trump so much, and why they'll look past his blatant indiscretions and anti-Christian behavior, is because they feel that they're losing. The people in this country are not going the same way they are. That there's more of a secular movement now in the country, and so they're losing ground.
But
as far
don't you
as
think
that
it's
goes.
more about privilege?
And so they're afraid. Well, they're afraid. Well, they have been privileged, and they're losing their privilege, but they're also feeling that their beliefs are being pushed aside now because there's
because
so many
they
other
are,
people.
Michael.
Right?
Check it
No,
out. Because
Eric,
they are.
you're absolutely
because they're
right.
wrong. Because their ideas are wrong, and they've been proven out by generations and generations of all their ideas being tested and proven to be not only wrong but really, really harmful. And these people don't want to let go of that, because not only do they have to let go of everything they believe, they have to let go of they have to come to grips with the reality that their whole lives they've bought into shit that's wrong.
Exactly.
And so they have to say, my whole life I've been wrong.
They're wrong.
Right, so they can't change their whole belief system. Let me tell you what happened with the Kahuna tonight, man. Kahuna Chris came home and he was hanging out with his parents, and he had to deal with one of these right-wing dudes. And it was the same thing, man. It was, he was trying to defend foreign investment on the North Shore. And Chris was like, what about what happened to America First? Basically uses, his own right-wing words against him.
Right.
It's like, you guys don't understand. You don't fucking get it.
Because they're all talking points. No ideology. And the whole thing is, let me say this, because I really want to get back on point, and I really want to talk about this blue wave versus MAGA hat thing.
Yeah.
And so what I want to say is, what that MAGA hat represents when he puts it on his head is, don't worry. Remember when all the wrong shit you bought into? Remember when we all believed it was right? Well, we're all going to pretend that that still exists, that we're still back in that time when all this shit that we now know beyond a shadow of a doubt is bullshit and harmful to society. Well, we just want to pretend, we want to go back into our cocoon and believe that that's not real. And check it out. All I have to do is pull this hat out of my ass and go, boink. That's what I represent. And we get to be right. Our wrong shit gets to be right. So vote for me.
I think that's true for most of them, but I think the bullying aspect attracts the bullies that, that
totally.
Probably more the Klansmen type.
Yep. And so there's all kinds of people who exploit this dynamic. Of course, all these different, far right-wing militant neo-Nazi groups are latching onto this like a motherfucker and going, yeah, here's our chance, and riling up all these feelings of disenfranchisement and this feeling of abandonment. Yes, the world is changing. And listen, I don't want to shit on them. I'll give these people a little bit of credit. I understand how hard that is to give up a lifetime of what you thought really was true and what you had been taught by generations of people to be true, it's not your fault that you bought into this bullshit, but you did. And the problem is, now that you've been confronted with it, you won't accept it and you won't fucking wake up to it. That's a fucking problem. And I understand it's hard. Let me finish. I understand it's fucking hard, but you got to let it fucking go. Okay? Because that's what's happening.
You got to take care of yourself now.
Yeah, but they don't know any other way to live. This is the only way they've known how to live, and they don't know how to make choices for themselves.
So they're lashing out, and they're violent, and they're mean, and their people are going, yeah, be that way. Be that way. Fuck yeah, you're being ripped off. Come over here. Check it out. It's the Jews.
It's the cultural Marxists. It's the cultural Marxists. It's the
the globalists.
Postmodernists. It's the globalists.
It's the
Jews.
And then you're off and running.
Well, because
maybe
of
not
fear.
religion, maybe spirituality.
And so
fear. That's it right there.
Yep.
So let's talk about Daddy.
So let's talk about this, guys. I want to talk about this. Look, I think that the Democrats, no matter what, are going to sweep in this midterm election.
You really do.
And yes, but I'm concerned.
Even with the gerrymandering,
it's overdue. Even if we weren't going through what we're going through, it's overdue. It's like it kind of goes,
Right. And
we'll get sick of it on each side and get active.
This is what I'm concerned about, Shannon, and I'm curious about your thoughts on this. Is that all this work, all of us that have been out in the streets and really fucking doing this shit and organizing over this last 2 years or so, it specifically in response to Trump. If we have this big turnover and when a Democratic, because there's a lot of people who really latched onto the struggle because of Trump, right?
Well, of course.
Couch Democrats, that have good ideas and are decent people, but weren't active or engaged really, got their information from the Daily Show, whatever.
Yeah, and because of Bernie.
And
there wasn't a need.
On the left, all they want, but Bernie engaged many young people, and that's never a bad thing.
No, and I agree with you, but there also wasn't a need like there was either before this fucking fascist asshole, racist, got into power.
You know what? We didn't really activate like we should have with Obama because he did ask us. He did say over and over again, "I can't do it alone. I need all you guys," and we kind of just went, for a little while.
Yeah, I know, right? We just expected him to handle it, and we just kind of we figured he would because,
with our hope and change. But check it out. Okay, so this is what I want to ask you, Shannon, is if there is this sort of big blue wave overturn and Democrats sweep in the midterm elections, I'm concerned that will send a lot of the hashtag resistance sort of home back to the same couch that they sat on when Obama got elected, right? Like everyone was all riled up, going crazy over Bush and over Iraq, and then Obama get elected, and then everyone kind of went, okay, it's going to be cool now. And it wasn't. And they didn't, and so I'm worried that we're putting
I think we'll get some of that.
In this blue wave, right? So go ahead. Yeah.
I like I said, I think we'll get some of that. I mean, some people on the left are just like on the right, and they're not gonna believe that about their heroes, basically, I mean, I'm still pissed off at Pelosi for flipping off the Nevada caucus, okay? I just want to see her and flip her off one day. And when I call Dianne Feinstein, I tell her she needs to remember when she was in the streets with Harvey Milk, because it pisses me off because, I mean, I've known this for a while, but people are waking up and people wake up at their own pace. So we are going to have some of that, but I think that the younger generation, much more so, is not fooled at all.
I agree with you, Shannon. I absolutely agree with you. I mean,
they were the majority of the ones getting flipped off by the DNC.
Right.
You know,
I've seen I've seen a change. I really do. I really feel like there's a lot more people that have been so engaged in the last year and a half that they've seen through these corporate Democrats. I mean, I just read an article today about Dianne Feinstein and about how her biggest opposition is coming from the Democrats. So, yeah they want that corporate
the immigrant
hawk out.
The immigrant youth went off on Pelosi. She did a speech, I don't know, a while back.
Right, exactly. No, I mean, and they're realizing that, and they're embracing these progressives that are out there, like Tulsi Gabbard here from Hawaii, and Bernie Sanders, obviously, and
no name. Did I lose you?
No, we're here.
I'm sorry. But, and no names. I mean, first-time candidates.
Right, no,
Never been
absolutely.
involved in politics.
And you know what? Check it out. If you're, it might be a little too late to register for this midterm election, but
No.
no, not to register, to run.
No, it's not too late to register to vote for this election.
I didn't say that, bro. I said register to run.
Oh, well, there's that.
So, think about it. If you're one of these millennial kids, if you're 17, 18, 19 years old, in 2020, you're old enough to run for office. You got to get out ahead of it about a year or so ahead to get established, and there's fees you have to pay and some paperwork you have to fill out. But you can run for office.
Think about these kids from Parkland, right? Running for office.
That's what I was going to say. Think about all the youth leaders all over the country. Not even, I mean, we don't even need to limit it there. I mean, look at what's going on in the world,
millennials may
you know
not.
what I'm saying? They're active.
The millennials may not be able to get good jobs, and they're screwed. They can't buy houses and shit, and they're fucking pissed. But the other thing is, they're fucking educated. They're pissed because they got to pay all this goddamn money back for it.
And they want to know why.
But they're educated, and they know shit. More probably than we did in my generation, because doesn't seem
Have
like
you
my
ever
generation
seen
knows the fuck's
anything
going
like
on.
this in your life, though?
No,
seen...
Shannon. I was going to bring this up earlier. I've never seen a resistance. I've never seen an awakening. I've never seen so many people in the streets, not for gun control.
Everybody,
not for women's rights.
Says it's
None
like
of this.
68 that was there.
I was
But
5
that's
years
what
old.
it reminds
couldn't
you.
have
It
told you.
reminds them of Vietnam.
I've heard them talk about that and how that the only reason that Vietnam was I had to put it on the table, talked about it was an issue was because the youth made it an issue. The youth are the ones that that brought that war to an end. So now we have the youth doing same.
We're the ones going,
and they know what's going on.
That's right. And these kids today are the ones that are being handed this massive, giant shit sandwich, and they know it. And this is the thing I want to say, and then we really got to move on because we got this interview with J.M. Carrico. But I want to reiterate. That's right. I want to reiterate. You guys can run for office, but I have one question, just a humble request from Reverend Aaron at Punks for Progress. Read 2 books for me before you run for office. One's a real obvious one, and the alt-right guys will love this, is please read the Communist Manifesto, and then read The Conquest of Bread by Pyotr Kropotkin, and then run for office, and we'll back you. And just like we do our amazing comrade, J.M. Carrico.
Oh, what a dude. What a dude.
What a dude. And we're going to get into that. But first, before we do, I really want to thank you for hanging out with us for this extended segment and bringing that amazing behind the orange curtain report to us. Shannon, thank you so much for chilling and doing all that work for us.
No problem.
Thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome.
Cool. Thanks so much, Shannon.
Yeah, dude, I'm so glad she's part of our show now.
Yeah, for sure, man. She fucking rules, and has definitely made our janky ass show slightly less janky.
And slightly more positive, I think, too, right?
Yeah, for real. So look, let's get the fuck out of here. I really want to thank everybody for hanging out and chilling this long. This is kind of a long show, but please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Please and thank you.
Please like and share our things that we post on our Facebook page.
Mahalos.
Follow us on the tweeters.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
Announcement as on Friday, April 20th, Reverend Aaron, will be giving a speech at Berkeley University, 7 p.m. Friday, April 20th at Barles Hall, room 54. And I'll be giving
Friday 420.
Yes, it is Friday 420.
Okay, just check it. Just checking, Rev.
I won't be discussing topics relevant to the number 420, but I'm giving a talk. It's called Alt-Right Fascism, Its Motives, Methods, and Foundations. It's put on by Students Against Fascism and War. They asked me if I would come and give a presentation on basically a lot of the alt-right attacks that have been going on over the last year in Berkeley, and my kind of role in organizing against them, and kind of an explanation of why these people were attacking, the Bay Area over the last year and stuff. So anyway,
that should be awesome, man. I wish I could be there to see that. That sounds
we'll
so
get
cool.
video and you'll be able to see it, and we'll post video on the chat and stuff. And the poster for it is a pinned post on our Facebook page. So if you want to, revisit all the details of it, and if you're in the Bay Area and can go, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Support the Reverend, guys. Come on.
Yeah. So anyway, dude, I love you, bro.
I love you too, man. It's been a long show, but it's been a good one, I think. I think we
It
covered a
has.
lot of shit. And I once again want to thank Aaron. I want to thank Kahuna Chris and Rancho Relaxo for putting up with me and my bullshit. And I want to thank you for putting up with me and my bullshit, brother. Love you, man.
I'm tired of it. But check it out.
You know what? Check it out. No.
Shut up. If you've been, for our regular viewers, you may have already seen this interview. It's been posted on our channel already. But if you haven't, please stick around. This is a really great interview, and it's got a lot of really great fun video stuff. And you at least watch it just to find out about the Republicans and Democrats. For God, I can't even remember what it's called.
Republicans, Democrats against Jay Carreco for Senate.
Yes. Oh my God, you got to hear about that.
This is awesomeness. Yeah, please check this out. Okay, and by the way, just so you know, this interview was done right around the 1st of the month. So if that rings any bells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah. Like
hey,
1st of April. Love you, man.
I love you too, bro. Peace out.
We, the people, are divided. And so many times, we critique those who have no more power than we do, rather than question the legitimacy of the institutions which control our time, labor, and resources. We are told to shame our fellow workers for societal ills, and to expect politicians and CEOs to solve our problems for us, when they don't have the same lived experience or concerns we do. This system isn't broken, it's rigged, from the media to the ballot box, not only to create a narrative which serves the elite, but to control even that which we desire, and our options of which to actualize those desires.
If they win, this is the world they will create.
The solutions won't come from the apparatus which oppresses us. They will come from community-led initiatives to inform, organize, sustain, dismantle, and resist, without asking for permission from illegitimate and arbitrary authority. This revolution is already underway, and we invite you to join us in an electoral direct action senatorial infiltration campaign set to take democracy outside the ballot box. My name is James Carricker. Don't just vote.
So this November, vote Republican or Democrat and consider the alternative. Anarchy.
All right, so we're here with JM.
JM Carrico, what's up?
Hey, not too much. Just hang out with my kids on a Sunday night, basically.
Fantastic. So to get our listeners up to speed, so JM Carrico is running for Senate, correct?
That is correct.
In Tennessee. And thing that is, I believe, singularly unique about your campaign is that you are a definitely a dyed-in-the-wool and with the background to prove it, anti-fascist anarchist running for Congress.
That's correct, yes.
You were on the ground in Charlottesville, and you've just been doing a lot of very proactive, on the street anti-fascist organizing for a long time, and I think that's important for our listeners to understand about your background. And then, I guess I'll just let you kind of go and tell us a little bit about why you're running for Senate and what you're all about.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction. That's very kind of you. I think. The reason that I'm using this running for Senate is to use this campaign as a megaphone to get the ideas that we've all been proposing for years and years out there on the biggest stage possible, and to get people to consider critiquing authority based on whether or not it gives back more than it takes. And if it doesn't, then it's arbitrary, and there's a lot of different models we could use. And oftentimes those models are much better for everyone than the models we currently use, and to not just seek democracy inside of a ballot box, but to seek it in our workplaces, in our communities. And I think that does several things simultaneously. When we start to build communalization, it can make us detached from needing approval from arbitrary authority. It can help us to be more sustainable in our communities, and maybe most importantly, it can get us caring about our neighbors and caring about ourselves, and teaching us to be able to, that we can be relying on ourselves and we don't have to require outside apparatuses. And with the internet now, we can be networked and do these kind of things in a way that we can learn from each other.
Right.
And
okay, excellent. So why don't you give us, do you have basic sort of pillars of your platform, or kind of specific issues that are most important to your campaign and what you're running on?
Sure. Well, I've been involved in youth prison abolition projects. I've been involved in radical labor union projects. I've been involved in doxing hate groups for a number of years, especially focused on the American Renaissance Conference. Those, getting the ideas about the dangers of white supremacy and using space that I have to talk about that is certainly a huge part of my campaign. The dangers of those ideologies they're already inherent inside of our systems, not just in the streets, And then I think that, but I mean, I have a 27-point platform to get to like what you're asking specifically. So some of those are like ideas such as a 1 to 10 pay ratio, wherein instead of continually fighting for a minimum wage that never seems to be enough, and because de jure, de facto, the capitalists can raise prices on the goods and serve and make it where it's it just doesn't really cut it, and so instead of that, we can have like a ratio. So whenever the profits go up, everybody makes a raise, and that can help.
Right, as opposed to where we're at now, where we have a 1 to like 350, even up to 3,000 ratio, where CEOs of these major corporations are making 300 and 400 times what the average laborer who generates all their profit is making. Right. So
yeah, productivity's
right.
Productivity's up and pay is stagnant.
Exactly.
While we fight and screech and scream for a hike in minimum wage. It is
right.
ridiculous.
SEIU spent $18 million on the Fight for 15. Imagine if they sent that money, the International sent that money to just 18 unions on a lottery every year. What they could do with $1 million. All of our institutions are worth critiquing. I mean, sometimes we hold up these things like bastions, and we don't allow for any critique. And so when we don't allow for any critique, the other side gets a whole lot of ammo. And there's some critiques that we should implement and change, and then there's some critiques that are obviously capitalist propaganda.
Right. Well, it's like you have two ways, scenarios under which you can critique capitalism. You can critique it from a place where you're basically under the thumb of it and wrecked by it, yet you still have to participate if you want to, I don't know, eat dinner or, like give your kids clothes. So you're not allowed to critique it because even though you hate it, you're still participating in it. Or you're like super successful and you're rich. And so you're not allowed to critique it because, you've been successful under it. So it's like, at what point are you allowed to critique it? What an amazing defense mechanism that capitalism has put up for itself, that under no scenario are you allowed in any facet of our society to say, yeah, but is this the best system?
And that's why I think that lampooning it by blatantly displaying its flaws through the character of Republicans and Democrats against Carrico for Senate President project that I'm running.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So about a week and a half ago, well, there was this guy. Okay, first, let me tell you this is inspired by. There's this page that was like Americans Against Communism or something like that, and it was run by this guy like Jack LaBelle, who he talks and stuff like that. I think that's how you pronounce his name, but I don't really care. He's like a alt-right guy. And he made this page and it was just horrible. It was all about like, and he started like doxing us and stuff like that. And it was just like, his arguments were horrible, but it was funny kind of, and in a certain way, because he was just so like he would go, the way that he would, expand reality, whatever you want to call it, to get his points across. And,
it was laughable because it wasn't rooted in any type of factual, verifiable reality, I'm sure, right? I mean,
right. And so I thought for a second, like, what if I could critique something from a point where I wouldn't be, bigoted in any way, except for classist. You know what I'm saying? And so it's so one of the people who was writing to me like that. So for instance, I used all the proper pronouns for everybody. I didn't, and whenever somebody asked me about them having a gun because they were trans, I was like, well, I don't really care what your gender is. I care if you identify as rich or not. We have to make sure you're responsible to the establishment in order to own a gun. Right. And so that was the kind of stuff that was it was rooted in the fact that it doesn't matter what you can be inclusive of these ideas, of identity politics, and you should be, and we should have a standard of that, and we should hold that standard. We should protect people from that. But if you then, allow for capitalism to take place, you're saying a lot of things, but you're not doing it, right? So you're saying that we can have these things, but that the people who have less money than you, who are also trans, people of color, marginalized, they don't have the right to actuate their pursuit of happiness the same way you do. So, for instance, someone like Caitlyn Jenner, who she is obviously a capitalist, and she has views about immigration and these kind of things. So we can see that, I'm just, for instance, that there's all kinds of, but at the same time, then there's other people on the left who will point to anti-imperialism, for instance, on behalf of like Assad or whatever, and they'll say that that's actual anti-imperialism, but that's actually counter-imperialism, which he's funded by the Tent Bank, which also funds Dugin in Russia. That he has a Democratic majority, but so would a Hillary Clinton or a Trump here. It's mostly because moderates want security. The people on the ground who are radical or who want anything but an ethno-state across, seem to be 100% saying that it's either we want him because he's secure, or we want him because the idea of ethno-state nationalism in that region seems amenable to a certain extent. And of course, he colors it in communism and colors it in Marxism in his rhetoric or whatever. And that's what fascists have always done. They've always used what's amenable to the left to build right-wing power. And that's something that when you get, it's a lot. I mean, it's neither side, NATO nor this Eurasianist, fourth positionist ideology that's kind of being spun amongst the oligarchs of these various countries are good, right? So it's like Republican and Democrat, and that's kind of how I've been trying to describe to people who aren't really aware of geopolitics,
Sure.
But see, the thing is, people on the left are reading state propaganda from those countries without the critical eye that they would from the United States, and so it leads to
So talk to us explain to us the Republicans and Democrats against Carrico for Senate.
Oh my
okay, sorry.
God.
Yeah. So I was engaged in a campaign over the last week, basically, wherein I perpetuated myself as this page called Republicans and Democrats for Senate, against Carrico for Senate. And they were these wealthy business owners who were against what they called workplace supremacy, or worker supremacy, I'm sorry. They would say things like, I posted on my page, where will you hide when the revolution comes, the meme from Wonder Chosen.
Mm-hmm.
And they said stuff like, in our bunkers, where we built off the wealth by creating all these jobs for you ingrates, and stuff like that. They were just we made some video. I made a video the first, like maybe Wednesday or whatever, and put it out, and it was low quality. It wasn't very good, but it was relatively funny. I just used a voice modifier or whatever.
Right.
Then I made another video I made two videos on Saturday. Spent 13 hours on with my friend Sam, and we made a campaign video in which that first video kind of is interrupted, but we subvert it, and by the
right, which is that we played your campaign video at the very beginning of the interview before we started talking, so people have seen your campaign video. But
oh, cool, thank you. Sorry.
So you made the second, the second video, for the page.
Yeah, I made a second video that was a little bit more, it was a little bit better put together, a little bit more. It has some pretty funny things, it has a still of Lennon just staring for a second, a little bit too long. It has there's a skull that comes out, but it doesn't quite do the effect right. There's a lot of little funny things that we added. It was a good day. It was fun to.
Well, and I got to tell I got to tell our listeners that I totally debated with the Republicans and Democrats against Carrico for Senate for a couple hours, I think, the other day, and totally had no idea that I was debating my comrade, and so it came out, and it was actually this morning I started looking at those two other videos, and I was like, I wonder if this is him, right? And then I saw your one saying, April Fools, and It's really fabulous, and I suggest anyone go on to the Republicans and Democrats Against Carrico for Senate Facebook page, and you can see all the videos that we're talking about.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and when I made the April Fool's announcement, I came back to the page and made sure that that the page adamantly denies it, and it says all April Fool's prank, and so I have those screenshots available also from where, and we both agree that it's absurd towards the end, but in the middle we have a good exchange about who's running the page, and
oh god, it's great stuff. So let me ask you this, a question I think that some other anarchists might like to hear answered is, there's a general notion in the community that we don't participate really at all in any form of like representative, democracy, and it's, the large no vote movement and this kind of
thing.
Yeah. And so what you're doing is very rare. And I personally have a hell of a lot of respect for it. And so I just kind of want to talk about, have you gotten any sort of pushback from the community? Or, I mean, obviously you must be aware that this dynamic exists. And so anyway, I'll just kind of let you say whatever you have to say about the issue.
So I would say that most of the pushback that I've gotten that has been directed actually at me, that I've actually heard, has been been two things. One, that, like you said, anarchists don't involve themselves in the state affairs, but I can show you, the CMT had elections. There's a person running in EZLN, Chiapas, for a position. There's, but at the same time, and then I've also heard the thing that I should have run for a different office, started on a council position level. And, well, both of the things are prior to the idea that I actually really desire to win, right? Like, because, I mean, and the possibility is there that it could happen, but it's highly, highly doubtful. Now, I have plans if it does, and I have like a platform, and I really want to get communities to be able to, who are the most affected, to form their own legislation. I would want to make my position obsolete. I'm calling it a senatorial infiltration campaign because I want to be able to filibuster and read the bread book. You know what I'm saying? Like, be able to do the things, say the things, subvert the system itself, right? Use the system against itself in some way or another. And with the public scrutiny of the last 7 years or so of my work, and saying that I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and not compromise my values, for any, and have somebody on the inside that's like, can form initiatives and community stuff that can be a program that's like, not prefigured, but just has some sort of I outlined in my platform, communalization projects, essentially, building autonomous network, sustainable communities capable of defense. The idea that I think it's also, but the thing is itself is that if I don't win, I want to use the platform to move the ideas forward, to get these ideas out there, to get people to thinking in a different way, to get people to think about democracy outside the ballot box, and to run gambits like, if CEOs can work and make 500 times the amount that we can, and then 500 workers are making the same amount as he is, or they are, or she is, and then why can they take a vacation for a week and productivity not drop drastically, or profits not drop? But if all the workers took a vacation for a week, you would certainly see it drop. Those 500 workers. So just those kind of gambits, just kind of ideas, getting them to be able to subverting the narrative, subverting the ideas. And I've got CNN and interview I've done that's going to be coming out soon. I was interviewed by Vice. I'm not sure if that portion is going to be aired, but so I'm getting some publicity for the campaign, so these ideas can get out there of anarcho-syndicalism, like you said. So it's really it's more of a campaign to get the ideas that there's a different way to be out there.
Sure, you got a bigger microphone. You got a bigger microphone, and I appreciate that you're, like you said, you're not compromising your values as your microphone gets a little bigger. It's fantastic. So I support it wholeheartedly, and I want to do whatever I can, which I don't know is all that much, but I know that I want to help you with it and push it forward because these are things that we're not hearing.
Progress, both of us. Yeah.
And because these are things that our culture is not hearing. Like I said, we talked about in the beginning of our chat about how there's only 2 scenarios under which you can critique it, and both of them are basically against the rules. You ain't allowed to critique under any circumstances, and so people don't hear the critique. It's not like the masses instantly have this wonderful critique and they don't get to say it. It's that people don't even know how to critique it. And so if they hear the things that you're saying, it might give them more tools, or even just make them realize, hey, capitalism isn't a just natural manifestation of that, like a tree growing out of the ground. It's a construct that we've devised, and it has a lot of flaws, and we can undo it. And so I think it's fantastic what you're doing.
I do think that information alone probably won't motivate people to change unless they're incentivized. So for instance, if not participating in the system is punished more than they're rewarded by not participating, and or they are rewarded more by participating than they are engaging in non-participation. If they don't find security and community and the things that they need, if they can't, and they can't see a working model of it, it's highly unlikely that even if they know that they'll stop participating. That's reality. I think we kind of learned that in the 60s a little bit, was that with the hippies and stuff like that, is you can, in the peace movement and stuff, you can know all the information and stuff, but then later on in life, if you're incentivized to engage with the system, most people will choose the incentivization. So we have to figure out how to, like, at this point in time, we're at a crossroads. I mean, like, we're facing near-term human extinction. So we have to figure out a model that we can incentivize people, because to be honest, on a hyperlocal basis, and that means almost in an apolitical way. Because if you get people acting in the way that we want through libertarian socialism, then before they even have to say those words, they could be doing those things, and they can wrap their own ideology around it. Now, again, I'm not trying to put the onus on anybody to, like, engage with reactionaries or whatever, but at the same time, we have to start where we are, and we can move people from there. I think so.
Agreed.
It seems like we have to.
It's an uphill battle. It's always been an uphill battle, and it's going to continue to be one. But it's there is a top to the hill at some point. We're getting there. We're getting there bit by bit, and I think what you're doing is definitely contributing to that. So, like I said, I appreciate it. Jam, it's been fantastic talking with you. Unless there's anything else that you'd really feel you want to say, please have at it. But really appreciate you hanging out with us.
Well, thank you so much for thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor. If I had anything else to say, it would be basically that if you want to check out the platform, it's available. It's 27 points. I have a little bit of a speech that I have before it. It's on my page. You can find that. You can message me on Facebook. I'm totally down for that. Just if you have any questions, this is meant to be as much as possible to get power into the hands of the workers, get power into the hands of the communities. If I do win, and if not, then to get the ideas out there. To be able to get people thinking in a different way, which incentivizes people to to act in a different way, at least in a certain kind, at least that they can see that those models are being signal boosted and that they're available and they're working. So that's the second part, is to signal boost those ideas, to get people's attention on the great community organizing that's already being done all throughout the state and the country.
Excellent. J.M. Carrico, anarcho-syndicalist candidate for Senate from the great state of Tennessee. Thanks for hanging out with us, man.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate
thanks
it.
for joining us. Really appreciate you coming on our show, bro.
No problem. Anytime.
The specter haunts the 2018 election cycle. And that specter Jericho seeks to undermine our youth's respect for authority through programs like Kids Out of Cages. This leads to entitlement. They want to sabotage our business models. So-called workplace democracy, pay ratios that can't hide with it, really. Worker supremacy. Jericho is infiltrating our democracy to take wealth from innocent job creators and the politicians who support us. Jericho is an Antifa terrorist. If they win, this is the world they will create. So this November, vote Republican or Democrat and consider the alternative. Anarchy.
Neighbor, welcome again to this neighborhood. I'd like to show you something. You know what this is? Maybe if I press this button. This is a cassette player with a little cassette in here, and there's nothing written on it, so we'll just have to play it to see what it is. Do you ever imagine things? Are they scary things? Are they scary things? Do you ever imagine things? Things you'd like to have? Did you ever see a cat's eyes in the dark and wonder what they were? Did you ever pretend about things like that before? Did you ever pretend about things like that? Did you ever grow anything in the garden of your mind? In the garden of your mind. You can grow ideas in the garden of your mind. In the garden of your mind. It's good to be curious about many things. You can think about things and make believe. All you have to do is think, and they'll grow. Imagine every person that you see is somewhat different from every other person in the world. Some can do some things, some can do others. Did you ever think of the many things you've learned to do? Many things you've learned. Did you ever grow anything in the garden of your mind? You can grow ideas in the garden of your mind. In the garden of your mind. It's good to be curious about many things. You can think about things and make believe. All you have to do is think, and they'll grow. Did you feel like going like that? Let's give the fish some food. Mr. McFeely, I didn't order any whistles. That's what they call these slide whistles. Did you feel like going like that? There are so many things to learn about in this world. And so many people who can help us learn. And so many people who can help us learn. Did you ever grow anything in the garden of your mind? In the garden of your mind. You can grow ideas in the garden of your mind. In the garden of your mind. It's good to be curious about many things. You can think about things and make believe. All you have to do is think. You can think about things and make believe. All you have to do is think, and they'll grow.